Hi, this is Marcus de Maria here, and I just wanted to share something very, very interesting that I'm reading right now. We've just had a fantastic weekend of the Wealth Workout, which many of you might have been on, some of you might know about, which is my 2-day mindset and psychology course, because of course we do know that the skills just make up 20% of what we need to be successful, financially successful, whatever you're looking for, but the attitude, the mindset is 80%. And people, they say, oh, I just want to learn the skills, their skills, at your peril. Because what's most important is working on your mind, your attitude, your beliefs, and your values. And most people don't even know what money is. So we'll talk about that on another video. But what I wanted to share with you right now is just something that I'm reading, which I thought was really very, very good. It's a book by a guy called Steven Pressfield. Now he's actually written some other books like The War of Art. Should be Art of War, but it's not. The War of Art, and also The Legend of Bagger Vance, which is being turned into a major film. But his book here that I'm talking about is Turning Pro. Now this is really a gem of a book, I have to say. You'll be easily read it in about 3 hours. I think, around 10:30 in the evening, I snuggled down with it, and suddenly, it was 12:30, 1 o'clock, and it just warped time. It was so good. It says, tapping your inner power and, listen to this, create your life's work. In other words, what you really should be doing. It's getting away from being amateur and turning pro. And the person who put me onto this was none other than Blair Singer, who, as many of you know, has written many best-selling books like The ABCs of Building a World-Class Team, and also Sales Dogs, and is a long-time business partner of Robert Kiyosaki and works very, very closely with, of course, my own mentor, T. Harv Eker. And he recommended this book as we were talking. He said, have a read of this because it changed my life, he told me. And I did, and I thought it was fantastic. It's basically about the time that comes in everybody's life at some stage, hopefully sooner rather than later, right? Which is why I recommend getting this book sooner rather than later, Turning Pro by Steven Pressfield, where you look in the mirror, as you have done 1,000 times before, and said, okay, I've got to change, enough is enough. But there's one time when you really mean it. When you make a decision, when you commit, and you never go back. That's the day that you stop being an amateur of life and you become a pro. And so I'm going to give you some examples of the kind of things. So for example, here on page 13 he talks about most people have shadow careers. And he's asking, are you pursuing a shadow career? Think about this. Is this what you're doing? Are you getting your PhD in Elizabethan studies? Sounds great, doesn't it? PhD. Because you're afraid to write the tragedies and comedies that you have inside of you. This is tough stuff. Are you living the drugs and booze half-life of the musician's life? Sounds great, right? Are you living the drugs and booze half of the musician's life without actually writing the music? Are you working in this one hit me. Are you working in a support capacity for an innovator? Which sounds great, the right-hand person. Because you're afraid to risk becoming an innovator yourself? I've got to tell you, this book really makes you think. So what is it that you're doing that maybe you think is quite good, but it isn't great? And are you willing to give up something that's good for something that's great? And I hope at home you're saying yes. So if you're dissatisfied with your current life, ask yourself what your current life is a metaphor for. The metaphor will point you towards your true calling. This is about creating your life's work. Your life's work. And every one of us has that, but you've got to decide what that is. And not be scared to shine your light. And amateurs and egotism, okay, that one's a good bit. But what I want to talk to you about is this one. The amateur lacks compassion for himself. He says, in his heart, the amateur knows he's hiding. You know. He knows he was meant for better things. He knows he has turned away from his higher nature. So what is it that you really should be doing? And just finally, the amateur will be ready tomorrow. I love this one. 2 Hollywood producers were talking. He says, I've got good news, said one, and I've got bad news. Give me the good news, says the other one. Remember that mansion we were trying to rent for the big party scene, but we couldn't get it because it cost £50,000 for the night? Well, I just talked to the guy and he'll give it to us for £10,000. Well, that's great news. What's the bad news? Well, he wants £100 up front. And the sure signs of an amateur is that he has 1,000,000 plans and they all start tomorrow. It's all talk, 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 talk. And so what we need to do is there is a time when we need to decide that now's the time. When you look yourself in the mirror, maybe you drink too much, maybe you eat too much chocolate, and you've said to yourself 100 times you'll change. And now's the time to look yourself in that mirror and say, enough is enough. I'm going to be a pro in my life because I only have one chance. I don't have 300 years. I only have what I've got. And it's not a trial run. This is it. So I hope that made you think. I hope you're going to take action. Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. Very good book. It's a very easy read as well. And let me know what you think. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you in person, meeting you in person if I haven't already, at one of my events, either on wealth, mindset and psychology, stock market trading and investing, or the Forex. This is Marcus de Maria. Until next week.